Hey, I'm Billy with Colucci Custom Awards, and I'm proud to be a sponsor of this podcast. We're here at Colucci Custom Awards. We commemorate special moments in people's lives. We do that through plaques, through jewelry, and through awards. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this next episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Purpose Over Profits podcast. My name is Jeremy Powers, owner of Powers Insurance Experts.
And I'm Jim Floyd, owner of Ascent Auto Performance.
And today we have our first second-time guest. Not that all of our guests are not amazing. It's just that none of them pay us like Billy Colucci does to be a sponsor of the podcast. No, in all seriousness, Billy is amazing. Colucci Custom Awards is one of their newest brandings, and we're so excited to be partnering with them in that and ultimately just gleaning from some wisdom from Billy. I know so many people have told us we had an incredible first show, and so I'm just excited to continue the conversation. Billy, it's great to have you with us here today.
Wow, thanks again. It's been an honor and a privilege to be here the first time and to be welcomed back. It's just amazing, and I love learning from your wisdom from both of y'all in the different channels of business that you're in. It really inspires me, and I know as a listener of the podcast, it's really helped my leadership grow immensely. So thank you both.
Yeah, awesome. We're really excited to have you on. So I think we're going to kind of dive into some different leadership things today too. So I think it's going to be a really good episode.
Oh, awesome.
That's it. I think we just pull some random things out of a hat. And Billy, the only problem is I do that trying to embarrass you because you're my friend, but you would crush it. And I'd get schooled. So then you'd beat me up afterwards. So no, Billy, man, it's so exciting because you're in a cool moment today. This will air obviously in a few weeks, but today was a really amazing day. I remember ask you to come hang out with me at my networking group, and you pushed me off for all this time. And then finally you said, you know what? There's got to be a reason you're successful, so it must be this networking group. And you came and you dove in, and we had a lot of fun. And now you've got the opportunity to be a seasonal leader. You're coming into the presidency role for a whole year term. Yeah. And it's a unique place that we find ourselves because usually as a business, you have a CEO that maybe goes out of leadership and they leave the company. They exit stage left. And then it's your job to come and either keep carrying it forward or to fix everything that they broke. Yeah. But this is a really interesting season where you get to still see this person in this type of a role where you pass this baton yearly. And so I want to just kind of talk about that. And so number one, congratulations to you on that, and just kind of see like how has today been as the keys were handed over to the group?
It was a surreal moment. You're going into a really seasoned organization like BNI. It's the group that we're part of. And yes, I did put you off for about a year. I said, oh, okay, well, let me try it. He's obviously doing very well. So there has to be something to this. And so I made a decision strategically, internally for our company is to grow more local. And how can we grow local? And I saw Jeremy's business Jeremy's, both of you all are servant leaders, and it's cool to watch you grow and serve and give and see that manifest back to you in such ways that we don't really even realize, through relationships, through growth of business, through your impact in the community. So that's really neat. So I decided to, take the leap of faith and let's see what this can do for me and the business, because I want to be a servant leader to the people that I have 19 employees now that work for me. And how can I help them grow? And I don't want to be the lid to their growth. So what I try to do is grow so I can step out of the way so they can grow. Yeah. Right. And so it's been a really neat time in my growth in our company. Now I'm actually working on the business versus in it. And this has given me some really great opportunities to actually watch our business growth directly, I can say now, because of BNI.
That's excellent. I know you've been part of some other boards and things like that, and you've had to take steps back and take steps forward. I think it's really neat how you're able to look at that as an organization, look at your time as you stored your time incredibly well. When you spend 18 hours a day at the gym, you have to be very intentional with the rest of your time. So at the end of the day, you've taken on this presidency role, and really just trying to just look at what is your mission, obviously, to not change what's happened, but to implement and to help continue cultivating that culture. What would you say some of your key ideas you have stepping into this role that won't be yours forever?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, because I think what any really good leader does is tries to look at the different leadership styles, and they're not mutually exclusive, right? Transformative and servant leadership and executive leadership, all of that, there's times to use each one of those depending on who you're dealing with and what groups you have to motivate within an organization like that. The tricky part is when you have such great momentum and you have past presidents that are now still within the organization, and they're kind of on the other side watching you run the business, right, so to speak, run the organization. And that in itself is a little bit intimidating, but it's also inspiring, right? So it gives you an opportunity to maybe do something a little bit different in a way that nobody else has thought about that can contribute to that momentum, right? And so momentum really, it propels any company. It propels them forward in a way that it's bigger than the sum of any of your leadership skills or your traits or anything. It's the sum of all that. And that you want to keep that going. And that's what momentum is. And we want to have, really ignite it by vision and activate it by our faith. Right? And so when you can ignite some red hot, super white hot vision of where we want to go, and then your faith is, you're going to activate that by your faith because you believe in that mission with everything that you are. Okay. And when you combine those two together, really, I think you can do nothing but continue the momentum, and that momentum grows exponentially. You know what I mean? So it's been one of these moments where you're looking at doing things differently, slightly different, but you want to continue to embrace the practices that were working as well. And you don't want to do things just because they've always been done. I think that's just such a poor business leadership model. We're going to stay and do this because that's what we've always done. It takes the courage and to step forward and to make a change when you know that it might not be the most popular change, but it's because it's one of the points that actually I think are barriers to momentum, right? It's comfort, ease, and things that we fall back into because it's harder to keep momentum forward because you have to be active. You have to be doing things that you've never done before so you can get results that you've never had.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think the big challenge, and from what I'm hearing from you and you moving into this new position too, is the challenge of honoring what's been done in the past, but also being able to implement the things that you would like to change. Yeah. And there's absolutely an art and skill related to that. Yeah. And the second part too is I just really want to echo that concept of momentum, because I think that's such an important thing for all of us. And we need to be doing things that are fostering that all the time. So we're not getting stagnant and moving back into or reverting to old habits, things like that too. Yeah.
And I think we like to fall back into things that we know. Yeah. Right? Bad or good. We like to fall back into things that we know, things that are safe, things that are easy, and things that are comfortable. Because change is the opposite of all of that, right? Moving forward, meeting new people, engaging in conversations, standing up and presenting yourself in front of 70 people that you don't even know. That's intimidating for a lot of people. It was for me, and that's helped me really smooth out my elevator pitch and my pitch to business and be more succinct when I'm trying to tell people what we do. And that's a really cool benefit. And then to help others and embrace what they're actually getting ready to embark on.
Absolutely. And something else, I think, I truly believe that every leader should put themselves in this position at least once, because there's such a growth opportunity. Because the truth is, we're all supposed to set up our organizations where they could run without us. Yeah. And so this is truthfully a position that you want to see how good a leader is. What happens when they exit stage left? And yes, they're just walking down and going and sitting at a table in this situation, but is everything going to fall apart because they made it about them? Or did they set something up because it's something bigger than them and they're setting up that next person? Right. And so to me, I think what a wonderful opportunity to practice working in own your business instead of in your business, When you're in this position, okay, I don't have this forever. I have people that I'm accountable to that I don't want to let down. I want to leave this in a better spot. I'm not going to let that own and control me, but it's almost like you have a little bit of instant like push because man, you won't, after today, that's one day less that you have to cultivate and continue to build and prepare the soil for the next person that you're going to hand the shovel to, and so I truly believe that putting yourself into this position is actually going to help you to be a better leader. And number two is, I joked with Curtis Bennett, he's in our group and I love him to death. And, last year we needed a VP and he wasn't interested. I called him and said, Curtis, I've heard you complain about things before, like in 11. I said, you're not allowed to complain unless you serve.
Yeah.
Yep. Because if you're not going to be about the change that you want to see, then you have no reason to talk about it. Right. And so I commend those who step up. And today, when I said in the group, I want you to stand up if you served in those capacities before. The people that stood up are givers. Yes. They're people that are committed. They're people that have embraced whatever organization you're a part of. And those are the type of people that are still active. They didn't serve their spot in leadership and then say, okay, guys, I'm not going to be president again for the next 6 or 7 years. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave because I'm not being made an idol right now. You see what I'm saying? And so I absolutely love the rotational leadership. I'm so happy that in presidency of the United States of America, that it's not like a dictatorship, that it is something where you vote, it's you can't just stay there. I wish that we did that honestly in other areas. I wish it was more of you only can serve a maximum of 4 or 8 years personally, because I do love that rotation of like, hey, if I'm going to make a mark and do something right and leave a legacy per se, like I've got to do it now. The urgency is now. And how am I going to be known 2 to 3 years from now? And so I'm so excited for that, but I ultimately wanted to talk about this because it's not a common leadership talk. Everyone thinks, okay, well, I'm in this position. I'm here for the next 30 years. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you're a leader. You're always a leader. Yeah. But like, what about these positions that you hold and what are you going to do with?
Right. One thing that you said just triggered me is that you're stepping into this leadership and be about the change, right? And one philosophy that came to my mind was that you can make excuses or you can make progress, but you can't make both. Yeah. Right. And so, and when you're in a temporary situation, like it's a temporal type of leadership role, like you're elected into a leadership position, and then you serve your term 1 year or 2 years, and then you sit out for whatever the bylaws are. And so I just think it's really important that if you want to be about the change, don't make excuses, because you won't make any progress. Or you can make progress and put the excuses to the side. Yeah. And I think there's some great opportunity to make some more progress with our group. We have a tremendous amount of areas to grow in so many different capacities, right? My goal, right? It's like, what is your goal, right? So you get involved into a leadership position like this, and you're having all these numbers thrown at you. You have this, you have absenteeism, you have growth rates, you have, you want to get more members. And I have one goal, and it is visibility. I think we're given eyes to see, yet we don't see people for who they are. We're given ears to hear, but we really don't listen to what they actually are talking about. And so if you want to grow your business, if you want to understand how to get to the next level, right, you have to be credible. And in order to be credible, you have to be visible. And what does that mean? I mean, visibility is not just, hey, I see you as a person, I see you there sitting there. It's how do I get to know you? How do I really get to really see who you are? Yeah. Seeing beyond the skin color, seeing beyond male, female. Seeing what's in your heart, what's your passion, what makes you tick every day, right? And when you can look at people and start to learn that about them, they learn that about you. Everything else is a byproduct. Yeah. I'm going to want to do everything I can because, man, that's going to make Jeremy, that's going to just grow his business. And he's going to think the same way about me. And Jim, you're going to say, Billy, I know a guy that can do this. Yep. Man, he's really good at it. He's helped me out. And I know his heart, the commitment and passion we have and what we do and why we do what we do. It's just really everything else is a byproduct when you can get to the root of any issue, everything else, the other problems start to take care of themselves, or challenges or goals. Not to say you don't focus on those, yes, but it's not such a tremendous task anymore.
Yeah.
Because now you have a team of people on this same goal. Like if a coach coaches players so they can get out the players. The coach doesn't go play ball.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the players get the inspiration and the training and the learning from the coach so they can go out and score the touchdown and win the game, right? Unfortunately, Clemson's still got to figure that out. Anyway, unlike Carolina's got to figure it out. But that aside, I just think from a business perspective, it's how do we move out of the way? How do we see people for who they are and the value of and just their value, right? So we can share with them our value. And then together, when you have a conglomerate of people that are doing that, all in the same level and trying to really see who each other's are and their talents and skills and how they can recommend you, so they can help other people, right? And I think that is so key to really making any organization grow, is to see the value in people. And by seeing them, I'm like seeing them not just by your physical appearance, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my main goal as we approach the next step in leadership.
And I think that's a really interesting thing, because I think all of us in leadership positions within our own companies, if being a good leader is doing that with your staff, I think it's a really interesting transition for you of you do that with your staff now you're doing that with other area business owners and people that you would think like we're on the same level versus it being a hierarchy kind of thing. And so much power in that too, because I imagine that most of the people in those positions, we're used to doing that with our staff and all that stuff. Rarely do we have someone coming to us and doing that with us.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a super, super powerful transition.
Absolutely. This is a great opportunity for servant leadership. Ultimately, for me, it's like, it's not because it is easy when you get put into that spot of authority, be like, wow, look at all these other business owners. I know that when I took the presidency seat, Trey Whitmire was our first president for I want to say it was from February to October, and I was our first full term president. And man, at the time, I wasn't even an owner of a business yet. I led a sales team, and just at first it was just the awe of out of all of these people in this room, there was close to 70 members in a room. You want me to do that? And so it almost went from a matter of humbling to almost went to a matter of I had to be careful because I almost wanted to get prideful. I've got it all figured out, look at me. And then very quickly, I'm very thankful that when it all ended, and you'll still hear it from time, I'm known as Mr. Phenomenal. And I'm like, at least it wasn't Mr. Mediocrity, because I would always say, a phenomenal meeting, and it was such a beautiful thing to watch the temperature of the room. And that was a very tough time in my life. Right after I took the presidency is when I found out that unfortunately I was going to be going through a divorce, it was things that I never had expected. And so I had to walk in every single Wednesday after just absolutely being beat down and then just and then put on that smile. But man, God knew I needed that in that season. I need something to keep me focused because I had to be there for my team at work. I had to be there for my colleagues, and to be known at the end of that season, which was honestly probably some of the lowest days of my life, but just how close I was to Jesus during that time, it honestly got me through that. And so what could have turned me into a prideful, I was able to remain that servant leadership of let me go serve others. And it wasn't by my own accord. I was very blessed that it just happened that way. But I just think that servant leader mindset, because B&I, once again, you could be talking about we're not talking about just B&I in general. It just happens to be that's it. But one of the core mottos is givers gain. And that's that motto. I think that if you take B&I out of it, and if you just say, man, I'm going to focus tomorrow with just a giver's gain mentality, especially from your leadership, everything flows from the leader. I don't care about your words. Show me your actions. Right. So that's what happens from today moving forward. People want to know, okay, well, Bill, they're standing up saying we got to do this and bring visitors and we got to, one-to-ones, we got to have referrals. But Billy's not doing any of that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so it's all of a sudden, it's like, oh my goodness, not only now do I want to do it, now I've got to set the example.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, but the pressure is a beautiful thing. Pressure makes diamonds.
Yes.
You know, and so I think it's such an amazing opportunity in just one small thing. And that's why I would stress to business owners, go put yourself in positions to be a part of stuff like this. And I don't care if you don't feel qualified, step up to it and then just dive right in.
Right. You know, you brought up a point about, leadership, and really we don't really talk about this a lot as leaders, and even on podcasts like this, it's challenging even to find it, but I'm going to mention it. It's the cost of leadership, you know, and sometimes when we take on roles like this, to take one thing, you have to give up something else, and sometimes it's sacrificing relationships to move forward. You have to have a very understanding partner that's behind you, which I do. I have an awesome wife, Marty. She's just behind everything I do, and she's actually the main leader of our company. And so that was one of the moves I made to get out of the way, right? So she can grow and as a leader, and I can grow as a leader in a whole different capacity, right? But the key thing that you said was, I think it's a real key ingredient to any successful leader. It's not your skill set. It's not how much you know. It's not the knowledge. It's not even your servant leadership. It's your resiliency. It's resiliency. How do you bounce back from setbacks? You know, and when you can bounce back and continue to move forward, how do you continue to move forward despite the divorce that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Despite your kids maybe doing this, or despite challenges in your business, despite cash flow issues. How do you bounce back and continue to stay fully engaged, fully optimistic, you know, and fully embrace others and give like nobody else has given before, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool that you mentioned that, because I think it's really a key successful ingredient to success in any entrepreneur is resiliency. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and especially when you have that passion and that belief in what
absolutely.
you're doing, it doesn't make it easy, but you do it. And if you don't have that, that's when it's going to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And so if we have that core purpose of this is what we're about, this is what I'm about, and what I fully believe in, you're prodded to continue on when things get really hard and all that stuff too. And
absolutely.
That's the most powerful thing.
Yeah.
That's what ideal we all have that driving us when we're in those positions.
Sure.
Absolutely. And like I said, and just to say, not all of us are part, we might have met in B&I, you're not part, but I still see you exemplifying so many of those things. And that's what I love about just networking in general, is you get to put yourself around people that they build you up.
Yeah.
And you're able to look at them and say, okay, it's easy to look at someone nationally and say, okay, well, yeah, but they just have better soil and they have better people and you make more money and da-da. But here's people, when you network and you put yourself around people on the worst of days, you've got other people that are optimistic, people that will call you out if they need to. Right before this podcast, I was I'm speaking on some limiting beliefs next month at that Live to Lead conference, and he's like, hey, you're limiting your own beliefs. And I'm like, God, dude, come on, man. Like, who invited this guy? I'm just playing. But it's just so great to put yourself in those positions. But one thing that we weren't going to talk about here today, but you have just said it over and over again, I think that it needs to be said. You took a chance years into owning this business, because once again, if people listen to the last story, you started kind of part-time, then you left craft. I want to say it was craft, and you went full-time into this. But now here you are at a position this year where Marty has left her career.
Correct.
She's now stepped in to the organization. You've taken yourself out a little bit, something that you're probably extremely nervous to do if we're being transparent. But you've taken yourself out.
Yeah.
You've maybe said no to a few other things that you were doing before because it was time to, it's a new season. You wanted to get more committed. Because I know at one point in time, if we're going to be transparent, you were thinking about, Jeremy, is this B&I group even right for me? I'm having to maybe have some things happen at the office, like maybe I should transition. And then you say, you know what? No, I committed to this. I'm going to stick to it. And so what I want to really exemplify, I want people to see is that you've made these changes and we're watching this story unfold. You said, hey, I'm going to start working on my business instead of always in my business. You've taken step by step and you've literally seen God's favor, or whatever, you know, someone who listening to us would call it. I'm going to call it God's favor of you being obedient. Say, I'm going to do this. You know what? I committed to this group, so I'm going to see it through, and the blessings that are coming from that, and you being able to take on more leadership roles because you've chosen to step away from something, and it was absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
You know, everyone says, well, what's going to happen? Everything's going to fall apart. I hate to say it, Billy, but I feel like your business is running better than it ever has. You know, and that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing.
Yeah, you look back and you question your value, right? And when you step back from a business like that and you see it continue to thrive, it's two things go through your head. It's like, wow, these people are really good. It's actually happening. And the other one's, man, I'm not as important as I really thought I was, you know? So it's, but you really are. It's just, I think it's that time, and we don't get very many confirming moments as an entrepreneur, right? We're just hoping and praying for that. We're doing the best that we can. But when you step back and you watch people just grow, you watch them lead and reach potential that they never even thought they had, that you pushed into them and you kept empowering them and inspiring them to achieve bigger and better things for themselves. It's really cool to actually watch that happen and unfold right in front of your eyes. You know, it's really neat. And for me to step aside and watch, you have to learn how to step aside and trust people. Trust them where they are and grow them where they are. So you can step aside and you remove yourself as the lid, as the limiting factor of your company, right? And so they can grow, so we can then more grow and add more people and then grow the company.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that goes into having the courage to act on things when you have that calling to feel like that's what needs to happen. And then also, I think one of the big things, and I think everybody in this room probably does it. So whenever we do have something that we're implementing a change, going into a new scenario or anything like that, I know for me personally, I expect it to go well. And I'm just go ahead and putting it out there. I know it's going to be a challenge, but also that we're not going to be making changes expecting to, it's probably not going to go very well or anything like that. I don't know why we want to do that.
Right.
But even when it's something that's a challenge thing of like, this is going to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It maybe might not be successful in the way that I think it's going to be, but it is going to be something that is going to be a helpful thing, and it will go well.
Yeah. A lot of changes are dynamic, right? You have to be open and nimble for change.
Yeah.
When you make a change, be able to know that that's going to change as well, whatever that plan is, and to be okay with that. Yeah. You know, and that's what growth is all about, is to be able to accept that we're going to make a change, get the learnings from that, and improve on that change, right? Whether it's continue in that direction with some minor adjustments or completely make a right turn, you know?
And I would challenge our listening audience. I would say, guys, like, you've literally seen this story play out over the course of a year. What can you start planning? And we're already here in October, potentially November. You know, when you're listening to this, maybe if you listen right away. And here's the thing. What can you plan to change in 2024 to take yourself to a position where you're working own the business instead of always in the business? It doesn't matter if you're just a leader of an organization, you don't own the company. What can you do to build up the team around you to where you can have those one of two things? Hey, am I really necessary? Or hey, am I such a good leader? Not saying that in an arrogant way, but to where I care so much about the people around me that they don't need me, yet I get to be there to support them. Yeah. Like, what can you do, seeing that this is all played out in a year? Yeah. You know, and amazing. Billy did it. I mean, if he did it, you can do it. You know, I'm just playing. No, but at the end of the day, like, that's exactly what this is about. It's about inspiring people to know, like, the change is right in front of you. It's 90, it's 180, it's 364 days. It's right there in front of you. All you've got to do is get after it and take that step forward. And so it's been an absolute pleasure. And one last thing that I'll hint on before you go is that you taking yourself out of this position allowed for you to do some fun stuff too, man. You just got back from a trip. I'm going to let you just share where you went and just a few key nuggets that you got from that, all because you are willing to make a few changes in your business.
Yeah, before I get into that, I'm gonna close with this one comment. It's about outcome versus output. Okay, and this is real important because like if you want to build a ship, right? I think you don't go buy wood and buy and get collaborative people, a bunch of people, and you get and then you buy managers to hire managers to build that ship. I think what you do is you inspire your staff to see the immensity of the sea, right? And so it's going to help them want to build these kind of ships and stuff. But if you count on outcome and outputs, that's all you're going to get. You're going to get a hard objective number. But when you look at the outcome of things and you pour yourself into your employees in so many different facets, you see them. You don't just visualize them. You see them. You see what they're going through. You see their life. You hear what they're saying. You hear their heart, and you act on those. And then the sum of that is so much bigger than just the output that comes out, than just the financial revenue that's coming out of your business. Yeah. Right? You get people that care. And that's a subjective factor that you can't really put a number on, but your business is doing well. That's right. Things you're doing well, so well that I'm able to take off for 2 weeks. I'm able to go take a trip of a lifetime that I didn't think I was going to be able to take for another 10 or 15 years. And I'm able to take it now in my youth, my prime, where I'm healthy and I'm vibrant. I'm able to really absorb. I went to Israel for 2 weeks, and it was a study trip. It was something completely different. It wasn't like a vacation, but it was something I always had a desire to do, is to have a deeper knowledge and understand the transformational power of our God, of the Lord Jesus Christ, and how that can transform my life so other people can have that same hope in God, in Jesus, that I do, to see other lives change. It is such an inspiring thing to see that happen. And we went from the south of Israel all the way to the north. We went to the Dead Sea, to the Sea of Galilee, all the way up to the Mediterranean Sea, and got to experience so many different really cool sights. But I want to say I think the most, impactful part was about being in the desert, and where we find ourselves as entrepreneurs so many times is alone in the desert. You're dying of thirst, whatever that thirst might be. There, physically, it's water. Us, it's relationships. You're at the top. You're lonely. You don't have people understanding you. You want friends, but you can't be friends with your employees. That type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a desert experience. And then going back to the resiliency that we talked about is really kind of inspiring to see that how resilient all of really all of the Israelites were, that walking through the same paths, same footsteps that they took, I was actually taking. And it was just a really neat experience. And to close with this is really the coolest part for us is when we were standing in the Jordan River. Our feet are firmly planted on rocks that could have been some of the rocks that Joshua pulled out to build a monument to God, to commemorate that experience of crossing the river into new life, into new success, into a new way of doing things. And there's so many parallels there in my own life. We're taking that next step in faith, believing in that Jesus can really be everything he says he is. And it's proven time and time again in my life. And taking that step into the Jordan River is like taking a step into the next phase of your own life. Yeah. And trusting God, trust in Christ, make him the Lord of your life. And you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that's just kind of what I got out of that trip.
Yeah. So cool that you were able to take that trip.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So I'm sure lots of lessons learned and great experiences too. But I think we want to thank you for being on here. I think it was a ton of just great leadership discussion. Got a nice swag now
Something
too.
that we custom
And so
made.
we're very thankful to have you as a sponsor for the podcast now too. I can't think of a better person to be aligned with.
I think it should like
it's
start
just-
off with like him and just be like Colucci Custom sponsored.
We'll need some serious
That's
video
it.
editing for that.
That's just play. Yeah, how can people? How? I mean, so many folks could benefit from all that you have. I would challenge them to go to your website, share how people can get in contact with you if they just want to. I mean, just be your friend. I mean, who doesn't want to be your friend? But also, if they would love to utilize all the different services you have, you can just quickly go through what that is, how they can contact you, and we'll exit stage left.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, you can reach us out through our website. It's ColucciCustomAwards.com or digitaljewelry.com. Either one will take you to our site. And in a nutshell, what we do is we commemorate special moments in people's lives. Sometimes that's through a plaque. Sometimes that's through maybe the Purpose Over Profits. We do custom engraving on different type of Yeti cups, or if you need something custom engraved that you have to bring it into our shop, we do a lot of custom projects like that. But basically, anytime you have you have a moment where you want to commemorate something special in someone's life and celebrate, we help you do that. I'll close with this. So I graduated from Clemson, and then I went to Michigan and got my MBA, and then I gave my life to Jesus Christ. I took those 3 special moments and I commemorated those into a ring, where Clemson and MBA, and then the year that I gave my life to Christ. So it's really cool. We do it down to the individual basis or company-wide, where we're making 1,000 rings for an event out of Texas.
That's right.
So it's pretty neat to have that versatility and flexibility, and just really to be part. It's just as special to do one as it is to do 1,000, because we get to be part of something real cool that you invited us into to help celebrate with you.
Yeah, and I want to echo that too, because I came up to you with a very unique request for our monthly Achieve Higher Award, and I was like, I didn't know if we could do it or not, but I was like, Billy, I want a trophy that's got a shark eating a taco on it. And he made it happen, and it was awesome.
I mean, that's not a common request that you get. Shark Taco NATO 3 movie coming out in 2012.
Yeah, but that was, I think that speaks to how dedicated you are being able to make it happen. And it was so well received. Everybody loves it too.
And I love just giving people the props they deserve. And so many times I have seen Billy Colucci, I don't know how he makes money, because like there's people in our group that'll just have this special moment and he can like commemorate it on like a cutting board, and it's like their grandmother's recipe for this, and just seeing tears brought to people's eyes because of what he's able to create. I feel like more than not, I'm seeing Billy giving, and it honestly inspires me. And so, Billy, I would just say, man, knowing you, I'm so thankful to have met you through church. I'm so thankful to have business colleagues like you and like Jim, people who are absolutely, you don't just say you have servant leadership, you literally show it. More than you talk about it, you are about it. And man, from the bottom of my heart, like I would not be the leader I am if I did not have someone like you at my table. So I absolutely appreciate your wisdom every now and then when you bring it, and just overall, just your friendship and putting up with me on a daily basis.
Well said.
No, you both are awesome. Thank you for having me.
Have a good one.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.